Part 84. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 831. The smile on Zhou Tao's face was just right, and she ignored the wonderful expressions of the four people in front of her. The blind date lady was secretly relieved, Lu Wenzhou looked sinister, and the plastic sisters were so gloating that they almost laughed out loud. She ignored them all. She just wants to leave now and return to the crew. Only work is the most reassuring. She turned around, but her wrist was grabbed by Lu Wenzhou. Mr. Lu always did whatever he wanted, regardless of other people's emotions, so he pulled her downstairs. The other three were dumbfounded as to what was going on. At the top of the stairs, Zhou Tao gritted his teeth. Lu Wenzhou, let go. Lu Wenzhou didn't let go, and kept pulling him out of the restaurant and into the French restaurant downstairs. Lu Wenzhou looked at the guarded person and felt irritated for no reason. You. Zhou Tao stopped him. I shouldn't have appeared here and disturbed Mr. Lu's blind date. Lu Wenzhou was at a loss for words, because he was indeed on a blind date and he couldn't say anything to argue. Zhou Tao added, originally, I didn't want to come forward and disturb you, but it was Zhao Yunyan who pulled me and couldn't get away. Fortunately, I clarified the fact that you were divorced in time. I believe that the lady will not misunderstand anything. Mr. Lu, go up there as soon as possible. Since it's a blind date, you shouldn't neglect other girls. Zhou Tao, he lowered his voice, his eyes full of restlessness. Zhou Tao leaned against the wall. She wore bright red lipstick today. After all, she was part of the Plastic Flower Sisters. She didn't worry about whether she would outshine them. She was so gorgeous today that people couldn't take their eyes away. His expression was sexy and lazy. Mr. Lu, do you have any other instructions? Lu Wenzhou didn't give any orders, but Zhou Tao always easily provoked his anger. He never knew that Zhou Tao could be so eloquent. During the 2 years of marriage, she seemed to be a vassal, obeying his words, as if she was a person without character or temper. Every time he went home, she was always very happy, but she didn't dare to say too much, as if she was afraid that he would annoy her. Unlike now, when she is so beautiful and flamboyant, she no longer cares about his emotions. Zhou Tao gently pushed his hand away. Since I have nothing to say, Mr. Lu, please go up quickly. Don't always let girls wait for you. Not everyone is as good-tempered as me. They can wait for you for a whole day night. She said these words in a lonely voice, and she left from him. The cherry blossoms in the yard fell to the ground as she turned around. It was her birthday, and the old man coerced and induced him to spend it with her. In front of the old man, he agreed. On his birthday, Zhou Tao made a cake and a table of dishes with his own hands, waiting for his return with full expectations. This wait lasted all night. That night, Lu Wenzhou called his friend. It's not appropriate. Friend, huh? Suying is completely satisfied with you. Why is it not suitable? It just doesn't fit. Hey, I'm looking for you according to your requirements. She doesn't have to be too beautiful. She is gentle and intellectual. Suying has a good personality. Yang Yin teaches piano. Her family comes from a scholarly family. She is also a good person. She likes cooking and is good at cooking. Extremely considerate. Forget it, it's really not appropriate. Lu Wenzhou took a sip of whiskey and spoke calmly. Then I'll look for you here and see if there's any suitable introduction to you. No need. Lu Wenzhou put down the wine glass in his hand. Why do you remember that one is the same? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 832. I'll hang up if it's okay. Bang, the phone was hung up. Lu Wenzhou stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and pressed his temples. He thought of Zhou Tao's stubborn face during the day and her birthday a year ago. When he went back, It was already 6 o'clock in the morning, and she was sleeping next to the dining table, which had cakes and a table full of dishes. Zhou Tao is also good at cooking. The old man said that she had never touched Yang Chun Shui before, but she learned it for him. But he had never eaten a bite of her cooking. When Zhou Tao left, the plastic sisters Zhao Yunyan and Qin Yun also followed her to the set. The two of them were gloating in their hearts, but they said on their faces, "Oh, Zhou Tao, you are actually married to Mr. Liu." Zhou Tao smiled coldly, "What are you pretending to be? Who among the socialites in Kyoto doesn't know that she is married to Liu Wenzhou? Now that you are married, why don't you hold on to him tightly? There are people like Mr. Liu, powerful celebrities, socialites, and popular actresses. How many people want to crawl into his bed? How can you make things dirty even after you are married?" Zhou Tao smiled slightly, "I got married and got divorced when I found it wasn't a good fit. I'm not like your Zhao family, who raised so many love children outside but didn't divorce. It's actually pointless to maintain that kind of marriage. Yin Yin, what do you think? Yes or no?" Zhao Yunyan looked a little ugly. Zhou Tao actually secretly joined her army. Her father and her brother had many lovers outside, which was also a thorn in her heart. She looked at Zhou Tao with a smile, "Does the second master like someone outside?" "Ah, Zhou Tao, you are too miserable, you were abandoned." Zhou Tao sneered, "I was the one who initiated the divorce. Strictly speaking, it was me who abandoned Liu Wenzhou. I hope you won't add fuel to the fire when you return to Kyoto." After saying that, he got into the car and ignored the two plastic sisters. Zhao Yunyan sneered softly, "If you want to save face and suffer the consequences, it's obvious that Liu Wenzhou doesn't want her anymore, and he really knows how to put a premium on himself. Qin Yun, tomorrow, Miss Zhou will become the laughing stock of the elite circles in Kyoto. Why should you be angry with her?" Zhou Tao returned to the set in the evening. Although she looked calm and relaxed, she felt uncomfortable inside. She didn't eat well and had a stomachache at night. She didn't tell Xiao Ai, but Xiao Ai ordered takeout for her. The boiled meat slices were a bit greasy, and she vomited after taking 2 bites. Xiao Ai panicked and quickly got a bottle of water to rinse her mouth. Junling knocked on the nanny car and Xiao Ai hurriedly opened the door. Junling saw Zhou Tao covering her chest with a somewhat painful expression. "What's wrong with you? There are 2 scenes at 9 o'clock in the evening. I'll come over to you to check the lyrics." Zhou Tao took out a tissue and wiped the corners of her mouth. "It's okay." Xiao Ai said, "My Tao Zi seems to have a bad stomach." "Zhou Tao, it's okay, just drink some hot water and you'll be fine." Junling put down his script book, "Wait for me." After saying that, he ran away in a hurry. About 40 minutes later, Junling hurried over again, with beads of sweat still hanging on his forehead. He got into Zhou Tao's nanny car with 2 boxes of medicine in his hand, and took a breath and said, "This is for chewing stomach medicine. Take 2 slices quickly, it won't taste bad and the effect is quite good." Zhou Tao was stunned for a moment, looking at the man in front of him, but did not extend his hand for a long time. Xiao Ai took it for her. "Thank you, Teacher Jun, it's really troublesome for you." Junling smiled and said, "Just call me Junling. I don't think I am Teacher Jun." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 833. It's a popular name in the entertainment industry, but Junling isn't used to it. Xiao Ai took out 2 chewable tablets and put them in Zhou Tao's palm. Zhou Tao swallowed the 2 chewable tablets. They had a bit of lemon flavor and were indeed not unpleasant to eat. After swallowing them, Xiao Ai handed over the hot water. "More, drink some hot water and you should be fine in a while." Zhou Tao glanced at Junling gratefully, "Thank you." Junling waved his hand, "You're welcome. To be honest, as an artist, physical fitness is also very important. You must stay healthy." Zhou Tao nodded, "Yes, I understand. I just hope that I will try not to run into Lu Wenzhou in the future. I am always in a bad mood when I meet Lu Wenzhou, and I always have a few point-to-point arguments, which is harmful to my health." Junling left, and Xiaoai looked at her with a smile. "Junling really cares about you beyond the scope of a normal friend. I'm his colleague and I have a stomachache. He helps me buy some medicine. It's only human nature." Xiaoai chuckled, "You don't know the gossip in the industry, right? Junling was in another crew before, and he didn't care so much about other female co-stars. In the previous film, there was a scene of jumping into the river in the winter, and he landed on his own. The big blanket was wrapped tightly around her body, and she was holding hot tea, but she didn't even say a word of concern to the actress." Zhou Tao lowered her eyes and looked at the pill box lying quietly by her hand, expressionless. "I'm really not in the mood to fall in love at the moment. Falling in love is quite nerve-wracking. Have you talked about it?" Zhou Tao smiled and did not answer. "Have you talked about it?" "Actually no, that's not called falling in love, it's just wishful thinking. Fortunately, I woke up in time." On Shuiying Road, Susi had received 11 perfect marks before. Wen Qiao thought that his uncle would soon get a college diploma. Unexpectedly, I received a call on the weekend, saying that the self-study exam was run by the Heiken Education Bureau. Susi turned on the speakerphone and the family was having breakfast. Wen Qiao heard the staff at the self-study examination office say in a bad tone, "After discussion at the meeting, we unanimously determined that there is something wrong with Mr. Susi's test scores." Wen Qiao frowned slightly and looked at his uncle. He was calm, as if he was not the one who was questioned about his grades. Susi said calmly, "What's the problem? We will have staff here to find you. The address on the registration form is your actual residential address, right?" "Yes. A staff member will be looking for you in the afternoon." After hanging up the phone, Wen Qi slammed the table. "What the hell, just because our uncle got high marks in the exam, do we suspect there is something wrong with his grades?" Susi smiled, "It's okay. Wen Qi, I just can't get angry." Susi calmly took a sip of soy milk and said, "Let them see my true strength this afternoon." In the afternoon, 3 staff members, 2 men and 1 woman, entered the courtyard with a somewhat arrogant expression, which made Wen Qiao feel a little uncomfortable. "Which one is Susi?" The amusement park was busy on weekends, but free on weekdays. The boss was kind to Susi, and he could ask for leave at will. When he was sitting in the yard listening to his niece playing the pipa, the self-taught person asked this question condescendingly. Susi stood up, "I am Susi." Several staff members were a little surprised when they saw the 4 people in the yard. They have great looks, and every one of them is beautiful. The male staff member at the head looked like a leader and said arrogantly, "These are the papers for the exam you took. We all feel that this result is unreasonable. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 834. Susi put one hand in his trouser pocket with an indifferent expression. "What's this unreasonable law? There are 13 exams in total, and you got 11 full marks." Susi was expressionless, so. The leaders of the self-study examination office felt an invisible sense of oppression. The man in front of them had only obtained a primary school diploma before taking the self-study college examination. Unexpectedly, he was quite crazy. They didn't feel guilty at all when they saw him cheating in the examination. "So we think you cheated on the exam." Wen Qi couldn't help it anymore. "Who are you insulting? Who cheated? Please speak clearly." The people in the self-study examination office suddenly felt three strong feelings of oppression. Except for one of the boys, whose expression was a little weak, the other two students, a boy and a girl, seemed to be about to take off their sleeves and beat them. "I'm warning you, please be civilized." "Wen Xiao, we are very civilized. Xiaomo, you record the video and we will leave a certificate." "Okay sister." Wen Xiao asked again, "During the exam, how many invigilators will there be?" Two. What's wrong?" Wen Xiao raised his eyebrows. "So are your invigilators strict?" "Strictly, of course." "Do you need to hand over your mobile phone when entering the examination room?" "Are electronic supplies tested?" "Of course." "Is the exam divided into papers?" "Of course it's divided." Wen Xiao chuckled softly. "It is so strict to enter the examination room, and the examination room is divided into papers, so I dare to ask my uncle how he cheated and got perfect scores in 11 subjects." The leader of the self-study examination office was choked by her every word she asked. This is why they didn't come to Suci immediately after getting Suci's results, but held several rounds of meetings in succession. There is something bizarre about this thing. All the invigilators in the examination room were summoned to the Education Bureau for interrogation during the entire exam. Every one of them wanted to raise their hands and swear, "We were really serious when we invigilated the exam." The candidates in the seats in front of and behind Suci were on different test papers than him. He was on paper A, and everyone else was on paper B. It's really hard to say cheating. But this result is surprisingly good. Finally, I felt that I must have been wearing some kind of tiny Bluetooth headset, and someone outside had leaked the information. Otherwise it is difficult to explain. He was the only one in the country who got such a high score. It must be someone else who is smart and knows how to adapt. Although he got the correct answers, he deliberately filled in some wrong answers so as not to make people suspicious. Only the Suci, who was very stubborn, actually copied it and got 11 perfect marks, and only deducted 2 or 3 points for the other two subjects. He was so stupid. No matter what, the higher UPS determined that he cheated. Wen Xiao smiled. "Top." "Which one?" The person in charge of the self-study examination frowned. "Why are you, a little girl, so messy?" Wen Xiao spread his hands. "Can you please stop beating me up?" "Who is messing around?" "I'm just discussing the matter." No matter what, his score must be cheating. To get such a high score, he had already been admitted to a good high school and then went to a prestigious university. Why did he have to take the self-study junior college exam when he was 30 years old? Wen Xiao turned his head and looked at Wen Mo. "Have you been recording?" Wen Mo nodded. Wen Xiao said coldly, "If my uncle did not cheat, then should the leader of the Education Bureau come down and apologize to my uncle in person." Suci wasn't very angry. Seeing how his Akiao was protecting him at all costs, he was a little touched. If someone is wronged, he will be wronged. A little girl can't get angry with these unrelated people. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 835. Haha. The other party snorted arrogantly. "There is a set of spare papers here, and we will personally invigilate the exam." Wen Xiao raised his hand. "You have to give me an explanation. If my uncle didn't cheat, what explanation would you have?" The other party chuckled. "What explanation do you want?" Wen Xiao raised his eyebrows. "Let your biggest leader apologize to my uncle." The other party was disdainful and said perfunctorily, Okay, just do as you say, and let our director come to apologize to your uncle. Is that okay? So, Suci started taking the exam again under the big tree in the yard. People from the examination office thought they would come for 3 days in a row, but they didn't expect that Suci answered the questions very quickly and could finish all the test papers in almost half an hour. The three people just stared at him intently. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock in the evening, Susie finished writing the test papers for all 13 subjects, and Wen Mo filmed the whole process. Wen Qiao took pictures of every test paper. The leader of the self-study examination office came to invigilate the examination with the answers. At first, Susie started filling in the answers without thinking at all, and he sneered in his heart. Later, while comparing the answers and reading Susie's test paper, he almost fell to his knees. All correct, not a single question is wrong. Not only multiple choice questions, but also simple questions. He looked calm and his hands were flying, as if he was copying the standard answers, which were standard and word for word. He walked around Susie, turning left and right to make sure there were no miniature headsets in his ears. He suddenly felt incredible. How come such a talent only has a primary school diploma? How can I take self-study for junior college? At 8 o'clock in the evening, Susie put down the pen in his hand, and Wen Qiao also took the photo. The person who took the self-study exam looked a little pale. One assignment is all correct, 2 assignments are all correct, basically the 13 assignments are all standard answers. I dare to ask, who are you? Susie glanced at him calmly, it has no background. When she chuckled, my brother-in-law just has a relatively high IQ. He has been tested before and his IQ is 230. He has a photographic memory, and it's really funny to see how ignorant you are, thinking that others are cheating. The attitude of several staff members who were extremely arrogant finally softened. Well, let's go back and correct the test papers. The results will be available tomorrow. Wen Qiao shook his phone and said, I took pictures of all the test papers. I hope you won't do anything. The 3 staff members did not dare to be tough anymore. No, no, no. Then they took the test papers and left together. Susie moved his wrist bones and after writing for a day, his hands were really sore. Suyun and Ji Mingyuan then served the food. You must be hungry, let's eat quickly. Suyun muttered, these people are really like this. It's too much to suspect others of cheating when they get high scores in the exam. Wen Qiao chuckled, just think that they have never seen such a smart person and lack knowledge. The next day, early in the morning, while Wen Qiao was still sleeping, he heard a knock on the door and Uncle Ji's voice, who is it? The door latch of the courtyard was opened, and there were many people standing outside. Wen Qiao lifted a corner of the curtain and saw several people filing in at the door. They all looked like intellectuals. He counted 5 or 6 carefully. The leader was a middle-aged man in his 50s, with gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose. There were several a refined and intellectual temperament. She got up slowly, got dressed, and combed her hair a little. When she entered the yard, her uncle also came from the next yard. The two look a bit alike. The leader was the director of the Education Bureau. He said kindly, this is Mr. Susie. It's the last day, the monthly votes are about to be cleared, little cuties who still have monthly votes in their hands, don't forget to vote, crazy and expressly vote for Shushu, Shushu will give you more updates. Thank you all for the rewards, I will continue to work hard. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 836. Susie said calmly, I am. Is this your sister? Wen Qiao. She's my niece. The director said happily, my niece is like my uncle. This is indeed true. Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows, who are you? I am the director of Heikan Education Bureau, and my surname is Zheng. Hello, Director Zheng. Susie also nodded to say hello. Director Zheng paused and said, that's right, because there were some misunderstandings during the self-study college exam that Mr. Su took. The people at the self-study office determined that Mr. Su was cheating without evidence. When Xiao looked at the person in charge of the self-study examination office, his expression not very good. The person in charge had a smile on his face, completely losing his arrogance and rudeness yesterday. Wen Xiao is not an unreasonable person. She will not hold on to her uncle when he apologizes. Director Zheng added, yesterday, the results of Mr. Su's makeup exam came out. 3 staff from the self-study examination office proctored the exam. They confirmed that Mr. Su did not cheat, and he did better this time than last time. This time, all 13 subjects were scored full marks. The staff behind him all looked in admiration. Although it was only a self-taught college entrance exam, the results were truly amazing. Wen Xiao and Su Ce were expressionless. Su Ce, it's so simple, perfect scores in all subjects seem to be a matter of course. On behalf of the Self-Study Examination Office and the staff of the Education Bureau, I would like to apologize for Mr. Su's misunderstanding. Director Zheng's attitude was very sincere, so Su Ce said, it's okay. If you can prove my innocence, there's nothing wrong with taking the exam again. Director Zheng added, Mr. Su has been preparing for this exam for a long time, right? Wen Qi, my uncle just flipped through the book. Director Zheng smiled, this kid really loves to joke. Su Ce, I really only read the book once. Director Zheng's smile condensed on his face, once, again. Su Ce nodded, yes. Director Zheng couldn't believe it. Wen Xiao said calmly, my uncle's IQ is a little higher than ordinary people. Director Zheng said to himself, you are too modest. Is this just a little higher? This is an IQ and memory that is beyond the reach of ordinary people. Director Zheng paid a compliment and said after a while, Mr. Su, do you want to continue taking the undergraduate exam? It happens to be these days. Su Ce, I plan to take the self-study undergraduate course at a medical university next year. The few people behind looked at each other. No matter how smart they are, if they don't have any foundation in medical university, even if they take the self-study undergraduate exam, it will be difficult, right? Director Zheng clapped his hands, isn't this a coincidence? The self-study undergraduate program of South China Medical University is next week. Everyone. A week? It was a medical university, and it was very professional, so rote memorization was not feasible. Su Ce nodded, I know. Our staff here will help you add a place for the exam. The self-study books for medical majors will be delivered to you this afternoon. Do you think it's okay? Thank you. Director Zheng was very enthusiastic, no thank you, no thank you. Let's see if this Mr. Su can successfully pass the self-study undergraduate course at the medical university. Sure enough, in the afternoon, a staff member delivered a stack of books, all of which were medical-related books. This time Wen Xiao no longer questioned her uncle. My uncle has a high IQ, good memory, and has been doing medical-related research for many years, so there must be no problem. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 837. But even if he passes the bachelor's degree, I'm afraid he will still have to stay and work in the old playground. But it is always a good thing to have a higher degree. Su Ce spent a week reading through the books on all subjects, and then took the exam. The invigilator at the test center where Su Ce took the exam this time was Director Zheng from the Education Bureau. He also wanted to see with his own eyes whether this young man could still create miracles like last time. Director Zheng seemed to be under a restraining spell. He stood aside during Su Ce's exam. When you get tired of standing, pull out a chair and sit aside. Su Ce frowned slightly, this man was a little annoyed. Director Zheng was astounded when he saw Su Ce answer the questions. Mr. Su was so able to handle the highly professional medical department with ease. The next day, Director Zheng specially invited the director of the health organization to come over, and the two of them watched Su Ce answer questions. Su Ce's face was a little dark. Director Zheng was still finished. Did he have to watch the entire exam for 3 days? It really is. Director Zheng seemed like an idle man with nothing to do. He had been watching an undergraduate self-study exam candidate answer questions for the past 3 days. Director Zheng and Minister Su exchanged crazy glances while watching Su Ce answer the questions. After all, you are in the examination room and you cannot talk to disturb the candidates while answering the questions. Minister Su's eyes were full of admiration. This student knew he was a big shot in the medical field as soon as he picked up his pen. Such a powerful person could easily get admitted to a top medical university. Why should he take the self-study undergraduate examination at the age of 30? After thinking about it, maybe it was because my family was poor back then? So you didn't go to college. When I think about it, I not only admire the person in front of me, but also feel a little sympathy. Su Ce ignored the two leaders who were thinking about it and only answered the question seriously. The Department of Medicine is highly professional, and he had to complete each exam within an hour. When he finished answering the questions, Director Zheng would patiently ask him to check again every time. Su Ce would simply say no need. Then he handed in the papers, took 2 pens and the admission ticket and left gracefully. Director Zheng has never worried about his son like this. Minister Su grabbed Director Zheng who wanted to chase Su Ce. No need to review. I was reading his test paper the whole time. No need to review. It's all correct. Director Zheng was startled. Is everything correct? Yes, that's right. Old Zheng, where did you find this genius? He has such solid theoretical knowledge, but what about his clinical experience? Should he go to a hospital or a medical research unit to try it out? Director Zheng nodded. This is the domain of your health department. Let's wait until the exam is over. Then let him try it in the hospital affiliated to Fukai University. I always feel that this man looks calm in everything he does. It seems like a hidden master. Okay, once his results come out, I'll ask him to take a job in a hospital affiliated with the reopening of the hospital. At dusk on the 3rd day, when Su Ce came out, his entire family came to greet him. Dusk was falling, and this scene made his heart, which was originally indifferent, tremble. People with high IQs can easily become cold-blooded. Su Ce had such a tendency. When people from the Pentagram research base came to him, they did not use violence. They only told him about the research topics there. He was interested in them and went with them. It didn't seem to occur to him that his sister would be looking for him. Emotional indifference and lack of empathy are the shortcomings of a highly intelligent person like him. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 838. For a long time, he was obsessed with research, and the only thing he cared about was his cute little niece who looked somewhat similar to him. Now that little cutie has grown into a tall and graceful girl and is walking towards him. Uncle, how did you do in the exam? Wen Qiao looked at him with a smile. Su Ce felt that not being able to grow up with a Qiao was probably the most regretful thing in life. Fortunately, when he later learned that she had a disease that would lead to death without a certain man, he stayed with her. I've been observing her for a while. Now they are back again. This kind of life is actually pretty good. The test was good, Su Ce answered truthfully. Wenqi, what's a good way to do well in the exam? It won't be like getting full marks in all subjects like a college exam, right? Also a possibility. International trade didn't match his major, so he lost a few points in the first exam. Medicine was his field of study, and the editors of several university textbooks had even consulted his opinion. It should be easy to get full marks in all subjects. Wen Qi didn't dare to underestimate his uncle anymore. His uncle was really an unmatched master in learning. This kind of person could be successful in any field as long as he wanted to. My uncle is awesome. Because Director Zheng was in a hurry, he asked someone to correct Su Ci's test paper overnight. Minister Su was also present, and many staff from the Education Bureau accompanied Director Zheng to wait for the results. The marking standards are very strict. However, Su Ci's test paper was like a standard answer paper, not a single word was missed, it was standard, and every subject received full marks. Every time a subject scores 100 points, Director Zheng will take the test paper and exclaim, "What an extremely smart genius this is." At 10 o'clock that night, all Su Ci's test papers were marked. Full marks in all subjects. Director Zheng's blood suddenly boiled. A wizard, a wizard. Minister Su, that's right. Let him go to the reopened affiliated hospital tomorrow and give him a try. Okay, we must make good use of this kind of talent and let him shine in a reasonable position. It was late at night, and Su Ci received a call from Director Zheng himself. At this time, the 2 TV episodes had ended, and the whole family was still in the living room, preparing to go back to the room to sleep. Yes, Director Zheng. Director Zheng said excitedly, "Mr. Su, you took the medical examination and got full marks in all subjects." In sharp contrast to Director Zheng was Su Ci's attitude. Su Ci didn't even move his eyebrows and said calmly, "Oh, I got it." Director Zheng couldn't believe why the other party wasn't excited at all. It's a perfect score in all subjects. Su Ci, well, it's within my expectation. Director Zheng quickly calmed down his emotions, and the other party's calm reaction made him feel as if he had never seen the world. "Mr. Su, have you ever been in the medical field before?" "Not at all. The title Professor Su is quite famous in the medical community, but no one knows that Professor Su is Su Ci." He had no intention of exposing his identity. "Then are you interested in working in a hospital? Or doing research in a pharmaceutical company?" Su Ci said bluntly, "Not interested." Director Zheng was stunned. This Mr. Su was really aloof, but experts are usually very aloof. It was understandable. He was not annoyed and said cheerfully, "If you are not interested, then why do you want to take the self-taught undergraduate examination at the medical university?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 839. My niece asked me to take the exam. If I didn't take the exam, she would always pester me. Wen Qiao. Isn't it just for my uncle? How about you? Director Zheng, in this case, we will go to you tomorrow and have a detailed chat. Do you think that's okay? Let's talk tomorrow. The next day, Wen Qiao received a call from his grandfather in the countryside. Qiao, something happened, come here quickly." "What's wrong?" "The neighbor's kid was riding your Aries, and the horse lost its temper and threw him off." Wen Qiao's heart skipped a beat. "Is the injury serious?" "It's not bad, but come here quickly. This horse is not the loyal one it was when I got it back. Its temperament has changed." Wen Qiao hurried to the countryside and called Song Yu on the way. Song Yu is a well-known racing driver in the racing circle. Racing cars and horse racing should have something in common, right? She really needed a professional jockey for the subsequent horse racing competition. When she selected the god of war, she had already thought of Song Yu. When we arrived in the countryside, my grandpa's 9-year-old grandson from the house next door was sitting on a small stool with a look on his face. Fortunately, their family is not an unreasonable person. His grandparents are constantly teaching the boy, who told you to ride a horse to be successful? Grandpa so told you that you can't ride. You have to ride. Xiao Yin cried and cried, I just think the god of war is good looking. Do you still dare to do it in the future? Xiao Yin, I don't dare anymore. I don't dare anymore. When Wen Qiao arrived, she saw Xiao Yin sobbing. She went up and asked, have you gone to the hospital for a checkup? Grandpa Yin and Grandma Yin said, there is nothing to check. The child's skin is solid. He fell on the grass and didn't hit any stones or bricks. It won't be a problem. Wen Qiao pulled Xiao Yin up and said, it's better to go to a nearby hospital to take a X-ray to check, so you can rest assured. Wen Qiao drove Xiao Yin to the hospital in the town, took X-rays, and found out that there were indeed no fractures or broken organs, so he felt relieved and rubbed Xiao Yin's head. What's wrong with you, so Pai? My grandpa won't let you ride a horse, so how can you ride? Xiao Yin felt aggrieved. The god of war looks tall, big, powerful, and very beautiful. I just want to go up and try it. Wen Qiao smiled, is it beautiful? When I first bought it, it was short, skinny, and its fur was not shiny. It seemed that it had nothing to do with beauty. Children are not very good at aesthetics. It's beautiful, very beautiful. Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows, you are still young. You can't ride horses secretly anymore. Do you hear me? Sister Qiao, can I ride a horse when I grow up? Grandpa Su said that you bought the god of war to use as a race horse. Can I ride the god of war to compete? Wen Qiao, when you grow up, the god of war should retire. Wen Qiao took Xiao Yin back to the village. Aries and Xiao He were tied up in the backyard. They were in a hurry just now. They were in a hurry to send Xiao Yin to the hospital for examination and didn't have time to take a look in the backyard. Just as Song Yu arrived, the two of them opened the door to the backyard and saw the tall horse standing under the tree. Wen Qiao instantly understood why Xiao Yin said that the god of war was tall, big, and beautiful. Within a month, the god of war was completely different from when he first bought it, as if he had been reborn. It grew taller, stronger, and more beautiful. He has a strong body, strong hoofs, and his fur is shiny and smooth, and it is simply brilliant. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 840. The Xiao He that Grandpa liked was still short and stocky, but now that he stood next to the god of war, he looked like a little donkey. Song Yu whistled, wow, this horse is beautiful, a hot-blooded horse, right? Well, of course it's a hot-blooded horse, and it's going to compete in horse racing. Grandpa came in with a large bowl of food, and Wen Qiao asked, it's only been a month, and the god of war has grown like this. Grandpa snorted, don't even look at what it eats every day. Brother Yan, serve it every day according to the recipes you gave me. The food expenses for one day are equivalent to my food expenses for a week. Will this guy grow up? Do you want to be strong? Wen Qiao smiled, if the god of war wins the award, then this medal will contain half of your grandpa's meritorious service. Hey, look at this little thing's fierce temper. Can you subdue it? Wen Qiao patted the horse's belly gently and looked at Song Yu, I'll lead it to the open space. You have a try. Wen Qiao and his grandfather took a helmet and put it on Song Yu. The two went to a nearby open space, and Xiao Yin followed them. Mr. Su looked worried, this horse is so fierce, Qiao, why did you let a girl go up and tame him? He will definitely be injured if he falls. Song Yu held the reins and Wen Qiao said, ride slower. Song Yu gently touched the god of war's head, I know what's going on, don't worry. He put on his helmet and fastened the button under his neck. Then he grabbed the reins, turned over neatly, and got on the horse. Xiao Yin clapped her hands, sister is so amazing. I remember how embarrassing it was for him to step on the stone table and climb up when he was getting on the horse. Mr. Su was worried. Look, this horse is going to lose its temper soon. The god of war's horse's hooves lightly stepped on the grass and circled in place. Song Yu took hold of the reins, then gently clamped the horse's back, and with a slight drink, the god of war slowly started running on the grass. The old man was worried. You are running too fast, Chiao Chiao, don't hurt your classmates. Wen Chiao looked calm. Don't worry, she is measured. Xiao Yin looked at the sister riding on horseback with shining eyes. This was the scene in his dream, and he would definitely be able to do it in the future. The god of war ran faster and faster, and soon he reached the embankment. Even though he was far away, Wen Qiao could feel that he was going very fast. She was also a little worried. Song Yu ran so fast for the first time on a horse. Come, I am afraid that the god of war will kick you. In the distance, I saw Song Yu turning the horse's head and coming back, galloping all the way. Song Yu held the reins and the god of war's iron hoofs clanked, and ran all the way to them on the green grass. Song Yu tightened the reins, and the god of war stopped. Xiao Yin jumped up and applauded. Sister is so amazing. Song Yu turned over and dismounted gracefully, his eyes shining. Wen Qiao, this horse of yours is a good one. Where did you buy it at a big price? Wen Qiao took the reins and touched the god of war's head. The god of war was particularly docile and even butted heads with Wen Qiao. Mr. Su felt puzzled. Why was this thing so obedient in the hands of his Qiao Qiao and this female doll? This thing is human nature, right? It's only good for female dolls. Wen Qiao smiled. Do you know anything about horses? Wen Qiao didn't know much about Song Yu's family background. Song Yu said with a smile, my dad has 2 horses in the equestrian club. I have always been able to ride horses and have a little knowledge of horses. Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows. She can raise horses. It seems that there is another rich second generation in her club.